BingX, a trusted global crypto exchange. Trade spot, futures, or copy top traders easily. Sign up via the link or referral code to get 30 USDT instantly, plus up to 1,500 USDT in bonuses for verification, deposit, and trading.
Environment Minister could greenlight projects contrary to nature laws under proposed Labour overhaul. A significant proposed overhaul of Australia's environmental protection regime under the Albanese government could grant the Environment Minister the power to approve projects that conflict with existing nature laws, provided these developments are deemed to be in the national interest. This potentially far-reaching provision was revealed this week through extracts of the draft legislation circulated to stakeholders, signaling its imminent introduction to federal parliament. The move has immediately ignited a political firestorm, with the coalition and the Greens vocally opposing Labour's push to fast-track the proposal, setting the stage for a contentious debate on environmental policy in the final parliamentary sitting weeks of the year. Critics argue that this discretionary power, allowing for developments potentially in breach of national environmental standards to be approved under the guise of a national interest proposal, deviates from established principles of environmental protection. The provision itself has roots in Graham Samuel's 2020 review of the EPBC Act, which recommended its use only as a rare exception, demonstrably justified in the public interest, and accompanied by a published statement of reasons detailing the environmental implications of such a decision. However, extracts of the draft legislation, as reviewed by Guardian Australia, indicate that this provision could effectively exempt national interest proposals from a series of critical tests designed to safeguard nature, including the prohibition of unacceptable impact on the environment. Environmental advocates have voiced immediate and strong concerns regarding this proposed carve-out. Sam Shoke-Burke from the Wilderness Society emphasized the urgent need for ironclad protections for nature, grounded in scientific evidence, rather than exemptions that grant broad discretionary power to those in office. He urged the government to foster greater certainty for both the environment and the economy by replacing these loopholes with more robust and clearly defined protections for iconic species and vital ecosystems. Similarly, Nicola Bainan, campaign director for Humane World for Animals Australian, argued for the removal, not expansion, of ministerial discretion in environmental decision-making. She expressed deep concern that unless these reforms strictly limit such exemptions to genuine emergencies, loosely worded provisions could prove very dangerous in the hands of an irresponsible minister. Further details emerging from the draft legislation circulated on Monday outline the operational framework for the proposed Environment Protection Agency, the specifics of which were published just days prior. While the minister will retain ultimate approval authority, it is anticipated that the majority of decisions will be delegated to officials within the newly established nature watchdog. The new legislative framework also empowers the minister to issue protection statements intended to guide decision-makers on essential considerations for safeguarding threatened species and ecological communities. Environment Minister Tanya Plibersek stated that these measures aim to equip decision-makers with a comprehensive toolkit to respond swiftly to serious and urgent emerging events, describing the overall reform as an effort to deliver stronger environmental action in a streamlined, sensible way. Amidst this legislative push, Graham Samuel himself has appealed to both the coalition and the Greens to set aside their disagreements with Labour's nature laws and lend their support, thereby avoiding further delays in rectifying a system his influential review deemed fundamentally broken. Samuel reserved particularly strong criticism for the coalition, following their unsuccessful attempt to split the proposed bill into two parts, prioritizing measures to accelerate project approvals while deferring environmental protections. The former competition watchdog's review was initially commissioned by Susan Ley, the former environment minister and now opposition leader. Samuel expressed profound frustration and anger, stating, "I don't know what is going on at the moment. What we are talking about here is the future of nature for our children, our grandchildren and great-grandchildren." The coalition's bid to divide the legislation was swiftly rejected by both Minister Plibersek and the Business Council of Australia, BCA, whose membership includes major industry players like BHP, Woodside, and Rio Tinto. Bran Black, the BCA's chief executive, stated a preference for considering all aspects of the bill concurrently. believing this approach offers the best foundation for achieving a balanced outcome that ultimately benefits both the environment and businesses. While the BCA opposed the coalition's attempt to split the bill, Black acknowledged that industry harbors several significant concerns regarding the legislation, including a new definition for unacceptable impact on the environment, the EPA's authority to issue stop work orders, and new requirements for emissions reporting. Black confirmed industry's desire for the coalition to reach a compromise with labor to pass the laws, effectively sidelining the Greens. As of now, Minister Plibersek has only definitively ruled out a climate trigger, leaving the possibility open for modifications to address industry concerns. She concluded by stating, "The coalition and the Greens need to decide whether they will support the reforms, or if they'll be the reason our environment, business and Australian communities suffer."